5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Bennett, and this is the Ramble. I don't know. I always look like I'm out of sync to me. I have no idea why, but, you know, what the hell. Anyway, how are you this evening? Again, I have nothing to talk about, and I have a half hour to kill, so I just may wind up going to the citizens panel in a few moments. I heard that Rob was trying to call the citizen panel, and he got the wrong show because it was earlier than he thought it was. So, hi, Rob. In fact, why don't I just open up the lines and Rob and I can talk if he wants to talk. Hold on a second. This is going to take a minute for us to get the... there we go. There's the... Oh, see, it says Rob Alfano called. Call declined. He made it through to the last show. Let me see here. Let me open up the Skype lines. Actually, the Skype lines are always open. That's the problem with the new Skype. It's just that I say, do not disturb, or I'm not available, okay? But I am. And we found that out one night when, what's his name, RV or whatever his name is, tried to call the program because he saw that I was on. Here we go. Here comes our old friend Rob Alfano. Wait a minute, hold on, Rob. Let me get you a little slot here so we can see your face. There we go.
You're not going to believe what happened to me.
What happened to you?
It's embarrassing.
Okay, tell us.
So I'm watching the Yankee game and they're losing and I'm frustrated by it, right? So I was like, I didn't hear last night's Ramble. So I go and I tune into the Ramble.
Yeah.
And I heard your whole thing on Dr. John and all that, right?
Yeah.
And then I heard the call starting, and I heard you guys talking about Apple and the 4 and the 8K and the 4K, and I'm like, I completely forgot that it was a recording. I opened up Skype and I dialed in, and it was the last minutes of Damien's show, and I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And he said you called in the last minute. I thought it was like, I don't know, a senior moment.
Really? Well, welcome to Senior Moments. Join me. Okay, here we go. All righty, we've been joined by, let's see here. We should have Charlie Wallace because he was in the slot last night. Hello, Charlie. You there? Huh. There he is. There we go. Now we'll have him here any second now. There we go. There's Charlie is there.
Hey.
Hey. So Rob, you were listening to a recording and you forgot you were listening to a recording.
I dialed in as if it was live.
Well, it's good. It's good. Because it sure was a mystery to poor Damien, who wondered why you were calling. Not only why you were calling, because you don't normally call his program, but also because you were calling 1 minute before he was going off.
He had the theme going. I tune in and I hear the, and I must have looked like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and I think he saw that because he started to laugh. Like, there was no time. The show was over. So I didn't get a chance to make any kind of, I didn't get to explain why I was calling with 8 seconds left to go.
Yeah.
But it's like a senior moment. I started listening. I pressed the button. I pressed play. So I just got caught up in it. And you guys were talking about this stuff. And I was like, well, I got something to say. So I grabbed my headphones and here I am. And I dial in and I expected to be the Ramble, and it was the very, very, very end.
Well, I'm glad you called because I had nothing to talk about, and now I do. See, because you fucked up.
Go.
And Charlie was in there early, ready to go, and So, and no one else is probably listening right now to see if I'm taking calls. So
Yeah, it's early for that.
it's early for that. So anyway, so I'm lightheaded again today. I'm tired, and I looked it up. Why am I tired all the time? And it is a hypochondriac. You never want to go to the internet and ask
That's
why you're
right.
tired, because I could have cancer. I could have a heart condition, okay? Or it could be allergies, but I've been tired for like a week. And everybody else has been complaining about the same thing, so I guess it's not me. And then I'm imagining chest pains, okay? Now,
Yeah.
chest pains for heart attacks are rather profound. It feels like there's an elephant stomping on your chest, supposedly. Me, it's heartburn, so I come on here and I go, now I've got to do a half hour and I've got to talk about stuff and I'm tired. Now, I don't seem tired, do I? I seem animated and so on, but inside I'm falling asleep. By the way, I'm going to the theater tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
to see?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
Ah.
classic.
Yeah, the play with what's his name from Newsroom. You know who I'm talking about.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. Yeah, and Marjorie managed to get tickets for it for her and her friends and me.
Cool.
So we're all going to the theater tomorrow. But the thing about the theater is, I'm afraid I'll fall asleep while it's on.
What time is the show?
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, you'll be all right.
Well, no, but here's the thing. I find whenever I go to a play, I fall asleep. Now, I don't fall asleep in movies. I don't fall asleep, just watching television. But I fall asleep at the theater because there's something about the lighting that's kind of like, it's not really lighting, it's not profound lighting, so it's not bright. And it's kind of dim lighting, and so I don't know. I hope I don't fall asleep.
I could never fall asleep in a Broadway movie theater.
No,
Those
me
seats are
either.
so damn uncomfortable.
That's the other thing I'm not looking forward to, is all these seats in these theaters
Yeah,
are
they were built for.
they were built for tiny little people, I guess.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Let me bring in yet another person here. There's Jason, ladies and gentlemen, who has joined our little band of merry people. By the way, there's no Phil tonight. It's a Phil-free night again, which that means, Scott, give us a call. Tom Yamaguchi, the coast is clear. These are people who don't call whenever Phil is on the program. Scott, basically, because he feels it gives him a heart condition. So... But anyway, so we're going to go to the theater tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it, but here's the story. The play got nominated for Best Actor, Best Script, a whole bunch of stuff, but not Best Play. And neither did Network, the other biggest play on Broadway right now. And I can't figure out why. Well, how do you get, and they do this with movies too, how do you get, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Screenplay and all that, or Best Script, and then all of a sudden you don't give them a nomination for Best Play?
Wow.
What's that all about? Yeah. So, anyway, that's that. And so we'll go see it and I hope it's good. I hope it's really good. It probably will be really good. So,
Oh,
what did we lose?
We just
Jason?
lost.
Jason.
We lost
Jason,
Jason.
yeah.
Well, he'll call back. Plus, he then gets frozen in his spot, so I don't
Yeah.
have to do anything about it. But anyway, so what's new in your life, Rob?
Nothing. It's been I've been feeling tired too. And I've been, like, last night I went to bed so early. Every night I've been just. I don't know what it is. By the end of the day, I don't have any energy to do anything. I'm just exhausted and I fall asleep early. It's weird. I've never been
I'm
like
exhausted an hour after I wake up. That's how it's been with me here.
It's not that bad for me. I'm good all day, and then at night I sit and watch the ball game, and then I'm like just.
Could it be I'm 79 years old and that's what this is all about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure to an extent, absolutely. You're still going to the gym?
Yeah, I went twice this week.
Okay, well that's twice more than I've been.
Yeah, I went twice, and I'll probably go. I don't know, Sunday. I'll go again. Give it a try. You know, I'm not. I stopped going as much as I was because I was getting sick of it, and I didn't want to get sick of it.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I mean, I don't know, I just pedal on the cycle and then I leave. You know, I do 25 minutes on the cycle and I go. But maybe I should do some other stuff, you know, lifting stuff or whatever. But anyway, so what happened?
That's how you hurt yourself.
Gee, we did lose Jason, didn't we?
Yeah.
Let me see here. Do I have him on the list here so I could call him back? There he is. I will try calling him back, and let's see what happens here. So we're calling Jason back. But who knows if he'll answer? He may have had some problem with his computer, and he's Jason unavailable. I bet he's rebooting his machine.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Every now and then that happens to me.
So listen, how many of you have ever wanted to go to the space station?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You never wanted to, Rob? What? Why?
I'm not a pioneer.
This isn't a matter of being a pioneer. This is now tourism because.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's still a little bit too
Jesus.
dangerous. I'm still, grappling with flying to Miami. I don't want to, you're going to go up in a rocket and G-force and all that. You don't know how your body's going to react to all that.
Well, NASA is opening the lab, the International Space Station, for private astronauts, as well as commercial companies. It said it could include film crews, for instance, who could be allowed to make ads or whole films in space. The first space tourists could head up to the ISS in 2020, NASA said. The plans allow private companies to lease out time on NASA's part of the International Space Station. I guess NASA is running out of money or something here.
Yeah, that's what I was sitting here thinking. Is this a way to bring money in? But boy, you better have some insurance.
Yeah, and does it say how much it's going to cost? I'm sure it's going to cost a bundle. No, it says a variety of companies start to offer the possibility of tourism. It can be two of the short. Well, it doesn't say. It doesn't say.
So, what do you think? What do you think the physical requirements are going to be for someone to have to be able to qualify for that?
Well, I don't know. But here's part of it. You're probably going to have to pay the Russians something to get you up there.
Yeah, because we don't have a vehicle right now.
We don't have a vehicle right now going up there, and they don't have one planned for the near future. The only thing
There's no private.
Well, SpaceX has been delivering stuff to the space station, so I suppose it could deliver people, but SpaceX has never had a manned space flight.
Oh.
Okay? They've only had equipment and things like that they send out. So I don't know if they want to take the risk see, he's feeling like I am.
I'm telling you.
I have an idea for this show tonight. Why don't we just all go to sleep while we're here?
Would, except it's only 7:00 here.
Oh,
my new thing now is I tell I don't want to say it too loud, Alexa. I tell Alexa to play storm sounds, and I go to sleep to storm sounds, and it's so soothing and nice. Every night, storm sounds.
Wow.
So play some storm sounds. We'll all go to sleep.
Echo, play storm sounds. Let me see.
Would you like to give sleep sounds, thunderstorm sounds a try?
Yes.
No, that's
What?
not it. That's not it. I think you have to enable the skill because
No.
they're going to play a cut that's going to go for 3 or 4 minutes and it'll run out.
Yeah.
This is storm sounds. It never runs out. I have to stop it in the morning.
Let me see. Let's see if we can hear it here. Well, I don't hear it. Echo, stop. I don't know. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but
Yeah, I mean it's thunder and lightning and rain, and it's awesome. I've got
Wow.
the second generation. It's got a much nicer sound than the first generation in my bedroom, and boy, oh boy, it just sounds so good, and boy, it lulls you off. I really look forward to it. That's
Yeah.
my wife's sick of it. I'm like, I always listen to the radio to go to sleep because I have
Do you have any of the
tinnitus.
Do you have any of the video versions of Alexa?
No, no, I don't.
Because I do. I have the show, and then I have the little ball that I have at the side of my bed, which I use as a clock radio. And she gives me the time, and anything else. If I want video, I can ask it for like Reuters news and things like that. And but I'm really getting to like it. What? Oh, here we go. Here's Jason. Hold on a second. I wonder what happened to Jason. There we go. Are you there, Jason?
Yeah, freaking update thing was popping up, and I went to hit the dismiss, and another one popped up at the same time and moved the box, so I hit
Or is
restart
this
now.
the one for restarting the PC, right?
Yeah, well, I'm an Apple, but
No, I know,
So-
but a PC, you're lucky with the PC because you're right. You're back here now after it upgraded, right?
yeah.
Yeah. With the Apple, it takes a fucking hour.
Oh, mine is an Apple. I got a
really?
AirBook.
Oh, really?
It just must not have been. It wasn't a big update. Apparently.
Well, the one I did the other day did it pretty fast, but I figured it was the trash can I have here. So.
I have the upgrade to the new iOS, but I can't do it because I don't remember the password to my computer.
Oh, I see.
So it just keeps on popping up.
I
and
can't
like
remember the
there's-
there's certain things you should write down.
I have everything written down except for that password. I keep on meaning to just take it to an Apple store and be like, "Hey, what do I do?"
I think there's a way of doing it without. I think there's a way of doing it without being able to change it without that. Do you have two-step identification?
I don't
Two-factor
know.
identification? Because what it'll do is it'll simply ask you, send you a message, and then you put in the numbers, and then
I've
it
done
lets
so
you
many
in.
different things on here. Like it shows my wife's iTunes account, and so she sat there and reset her iTunes account password. We tried putting that in. It says it's not right. And then I've tried mine. I tried logging hers out and logged me in, and it's not. And then there was a
Well-
password that we made for the computer itself when we originally got it, and that's
Yeah.
what I think
Well,
I need.
well, somebody.
It's different
Yeah.
from you need the password for the computer, which is different from your iCloud password.
Yeah, but I keep them all the same.
Um,
My
Start out that
Apple
way,
my
but
Apple
it's gotten
password is the same as my iTunes password.
the thing is, every time I lift the lid on my MacBook, I have to sign in. I guess you didn't set yours up that way.
No, I open it up. It's open.
Yeah, no, I have to sign in.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
that's how I remember the password because
Yeah, right.
But you can have it stop doing that.
Yeah, but I like that it locks.
You do? Oh, okay.
I like that control. That you get put in your password before you launch it.
Because
Especially if you take yours out of the house, mine just sits in one spot. If I ever took mine out of the house, I'd want it that way too.
I don't give a shit if somebody wants to get into my computer. I really
Right.
don't give a shit.
I do.
Go in there, steal my life, and now you can have no life. I borrowed that joke from Bubbles, but I mean, it's true. I don't care. They say, "Oh, you." What I hate are the fact that companies are always asking me to upgrade my password.
Oh, you can't sign into certain websites. The other day I tried to log into my Optum RX. Every time you log in, they're going to text you with a code.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. It's no longer simple. It's always like, here's my password, and it's a pretty cryptic password. Are you telling me that now I still got to put in an 8-digit code every time I use it? Pain in the ass.
Well, I have a Vanguard account, okay, and I also have a 401k account with Prudential, okay, and when I sign in, sometimes it'll go, "Oh, well, we want to send you a code."
Yeah, we don't recognize this computer.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's terrific. The only problem the person who gets the code is my business manager.
Yeah.
So now I've got to call him and say, did you just get a code? Or maybe he's in Europe and I can't even get a hold of him.
No, that's no good. How come you don't get the code?
Because the account is at his address, at an address that it goes to him, it goes to his email or whatever, or to his phone number, and so I have a problem that way. Then if you can do it, well, you have to have a capital letter, at least 8 letters, and and something else,
Yep.
And
That's
I,
Number, symbol, capital.
maybe I just want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I don't give a shit. Okay?
Password 1.
Yeah. If I don't give a shit, you shouldn't give a shit. Oh, but
Yeah,
we care
except
about
that-
your security. I don't care about my security.
Except that they may be liable, right? If you lose money, then you're going to be liable. But if they don't make it strong,
They
then
do
they're
it with my
liable.
fucking Apple account. They'll ask for a new password. I'll put in a new password, and what I'll do is use the password I used a year ago, and they say, no, you already used that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last 5 or 7 you can't do.
Right.
I just took training this week because we get company vehicles, right? So every quarter there's another training that we got to take. This time it was, like don't tailgate. This is what you do. Blah blah blah. This stupid shit. And every time I log into that site, the password needs to be changed because that's how they have it set. Like every 3 months,
Yeah.
so you never log in a second time with the same password, and they don't let you use the last 5 or 6 or 7 passwords. Pain in
Right.
the ass.
Right.
And
Right.
who cares? It's the stupid. Now, where you don't really care is the stupid driver's site that we go to take this training.
Yeah.
Why does that need to be so damn secure? There's nothing there except for these dumb courses that we have to take.
Yeah, but they're so worried about my fucking security. I am not worried about my security, so fuck off.
That's
You know?
why I just can't wait till everything is facial recognition. Log in my account, boom, scan my face. Yep, it's me.
Well, I mean, I've got facial recognition on my iPhone,
It works great.
and it works great.
Yeah.
But every now and then it says, well, we don't want to use your face. Put in your password.
Yes.
It's like, but I used my face so long,
I'll
I
tell
don't
you,
remember.
want me to tell you the
Yeah.
one that really got me? I had a bank account in the United States, and I had a 7-letter password. All right? So now I go to Europe, and I can't get the fucking thing to work anywhere. And I need money. I especially needed money because this is when girlfriend had a problem with her back and whatever, and we had to go to hospitals and so on. And then I had to give money. And I couldn't get money. And what it was in Europe, all the passwords are only 4 digits. Four numbers. 4 numbers and whatever. And here you could do 8 or 7. And so my password wouldn't work anywhere because I couldn't go past the 4 digits. Well, they finally figured that one out here in the United States, and now I think every password for your ATM is 4 digits, if I'm not mistaken.
Mine's longer than 4.
Is it really?
Really?
Yes.
Well, I go to Bank of America, and they're cheap. Okay, so anyway,
My credit union 6.
really?
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I'm sick and tired of this. I'll take my chances. I don't care if somebody steals my password. Okay?
How come?
Because I just don't give a shit.
There's
I
so
really don't.
much of it. There's so much theft.
You know
Yeah.
something?
Believe
You
you
know
don't
something?
care.
Without even worrying about my password, I've had my, I've been compromised.
Yeah.
I've had to get a new credit card or a new whatever, just because of some silly little thing, and it had nothing to do with the password. It had to do with somebody was able to crash the bank and whatever. I just found out. I've been every 6 months. My what do you call it? Urologist sends me to go get a PSA test. It keeps going up and up and up, which means I have cancer. So anyway, keeps going up. And I go to this place called Quest Labs. I don't know how many of you have used Quest Labs, but you probably have in your lifetime because it's probably the number one. Well, did you see what happened with Quest Labs? something like
Gosh.
100 million passwords were compromised.
Oh,
Right.
fuck.
Yeah.
So you know what that means, right? If you use the same password for Quest as you use for other things, now they've got your passwords. So
Well, they
that's
don't
why.
know that, you know.
But that's what
But that's what they actually
assume,
assume.
Yeah.
right? That's exactly what they assume.
Well, the
And
trouble
for
is
a lot
that-
of people, it's true.
Mine is not the same as Quest, even though I use my most common one at Quest, because
So
all
I don't
the
have
o-
a most common one.
because
Every place is different.
all the others I've had to change because they just wanted me to change them, you know.
Right.
So
I used to have a common one that I used for like all banking was the same and all this was the same. And since I've gotten one password, one password tells me when I log in and I see a password, it says caution, this is used in 5 places. And then I went in and I spent the time to actually go and let one password generate passwords for me for all these sites, and I changed them. So now every one of my passwords to important sites is like 16 digits, capital letters, lowercase.
well, how do you remember them?
You don't.
Yeah.
I have one password on every device I own, and it works like on my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it. One password uses facial recognition, so when I go to a website, I just I will go to type in my password. On the bar there where you type, it says password. I click it. It looks at my face, and then it knows which website I'm at because it's listed in one password. It autofills everything, and I'm logged in.
How much does
And
one password cost you?
It's like it's a subscription situation now, and I don't know what it is per month. It used to be where you bought it per device, but now they do a subscription-based model, and so your one password, you get this vault, and you get this secret key, and so every new device you get, you have to you use your camera and you take a picture of the, what do they call that square thing, and it automatically sets up the vault for you, so that on your iPhone, on my Mac, on my work computer, on my computer that's got to be blown up in the studio upstairs, all of it has one password on it.
Yeah.
And wherever I am, I have my passwords. If I'm in front of a computer, I have one password. So I don't know any of my passwords. They're except the vault password, the main vault password. Obviously, you need
Now,
to have.
And that's already taking control of you and you're
suppose-
volunteering.
Suppose that one day you decide I don't want to pay them anymore.
Well, then you would need to keep. You would print out those passwords. You can print it if you want. You would print out all those passwords. And then you would probably want to change them because you wouldn't want to be typing in A, Q, exclamation, hashtag, 4.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do that. So.
And what happens on the day that we see that headline in the newspaper, one password compromised?
Crashed.
Well,
What?
then you'd have to go in and change it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd have to go in and change. But I'll tell you what, you're not going to crack these passwords that the system.
Oh, well, maybe not, but who knows? What we're doing is we're paying money to these people to make us secure, and then at some point we find out they have no idea how to be secure themselves. So
To a degree, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. But you can't just have Teddy Bear 12 as your password and.
Oh, damn it! Now you knew what my password was, right? Damn it! I got to tell you a funny story. We used to have a show here. What's her name? Miranda. Remember Miranda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miranda Janelle. And we were talking one night on the air. I was talking to her on her show. And she said, well, she says, I'll bet your password is. And she nailed it. Almost nailed it. Not completely. There were a couple of numbers in it, and she didn't get those. And I went, how'd you know that? She says, that's the most common password in the world. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because I'm still using it.
And she would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
She
in
would
that
know.
business,
That's right.
But I thought that's spooky. In fact, I called her after the show. I said, how did you know my password? And she says, oh, that's one of the most common passwords around. And the only reason I ever used it is because it went back to the days when I had a website, and it had something to do with that website. And I've kept it down for 20 years, and hardly ever has it been compromised. Probably because everybody looks at it and goes, "Well, that can't be the password. That's too fucking easy."
Password 1.
Now, one with a one hashtag symbol sign, this, that, blah, blah, BB47923, that one's a password. You know? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's not a password. Nobody would. What kind of moron would use that?
Most systems today won't let you do that. They detect that and will not allow it. They'll tell you.
Well, how dare they not allow me to use the password I want to use? Okay.
Well, they have to think about it from a legal perspective. Everything now is HTTPS, and what is it, 256 K encryption, whatever the hell it is.
You want to know what?
encryption.
You do know.
They spend a lot of money on this. They're not going to want you to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
A couple of years ago, I paid a couple $100 for about 3 years of having Gabnet.net, a secure site. So it's an HTTPS. Okay. However, if you go to my site, as it comes up, it's HTTPS, and then also it goes to HTTP with an exclamation mark. You know why?
It's a certificate thing.
No, I have the certificate. But like, for instance, I have the RSS files come up there so that you get the on-demand. All right? That compromises, supposedly, the system.
Oh.
Because the HTTPS, that is coming from a non-secure site.
Right.
So what am I paying $250 for 3 years for?
Yeah, you don't need that. I mean, if you're taking credit cards on the site, which would be nice, then you need that.
Well, they told me at GoDaddy that there was going to come a day when Google or whatever was going to put up a red flag every time it found a non-secure site, And I don't think that's true, actually, to tell you the damn truth. But I did it, and I felt fine. I had that HTTP.
Sucker.
And then also, if you, another way I did it is if you turned on the audio stream on the Gabnet site, that made it insecure because it's coming from a non-HTTPS site. So I called. I wrote the people over at Voscast where we do the serving, and I said, "When are you going to go to HTTPS?" "Oh, probably never." Well, then, if I try to feed my live sound onto my site, it loses its secure status. It does have a sign coming up, or a little thing you can click on and see that it is secure for most things, but, fuck it, I mean, I'm just tired of all the security shit,
It's the world we live in.
Let's be very honest, ladies and gentlemen. This is a world in which everybody's out to get you. Now, the one thing they said they've done now, did you see what they passed the other day regarding robocalls?
Cell phones.
Yes.
The cell phones? They've said that the phone companies can now block them. Supposedly they couldn't block them before, and now they can block them.
There's nothing in there about that they can't charge you for that service, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's being held up right now. That's why Congress is holding it up right now, because there is nothing, exactly what you said. There's nothing in there that says they can't charge you. Congress is saying you need to make it so that you don't charge people for it.
Wow.
But they can turn it on like that. It's what are they going to charge us for it?
Yeah, well, how do they know that it's a robocall?
They do, because they use the same kind of heuristics that email spam uses.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can tell based on, I really don't know.
Well,
but
how much email spam gets through to you?
Well, but think about how much spam doesn't get through? It causes major spam email. I used to run a spam gateway at one of my jobs. I had managed my own spam gateway before I decided it's too much work. So what we did is we pointed our MX record from our gateways to there's a couple of Google does it, and other spam gateways up there. So we moved our MX records to them. Let them take all of our incoming email, and then spam filter it, and then send it to us, right? So we put them in the loop. Do you know how much internet access, how much we saved on how much shit was actually hitting our firewalls? It's ridiculous how much spam that they take care of.
Wow. Well, I mean, I do still get spam. I mean, I get it in my spam folder.
Yes, you get some.
But what's interesting is, you know where the majority of the spam it comes from?
Russia.
My Apple account.
Really?
Yeah, they hit that Apple account like crazy with spam. And I don't know why Apple, this wonderful company who can come out with a $6,000 starting point for a machine, can't somehow figure how to stop that kind of spam from even happening at all. And a lot of it is stuff where they say they're Apple and give us your number, your social security number and everything. And I'm going, this is going right through Apple. They know it's going right through Apple. They know it well enough to be spam and put it in my spam folder, but they don't know well enough to block it.
Either that or they don't want to be bothered with the cost.
Well, Apple?
Yeah, they don't mind, because people don't bitch. So maybe it's like, well, we don't want to be bothered with the cost, so we're not gonna do all the work.
Well, I would think this
crap.
wonderful company called Apple would want to do everything it can to. Tim Cook comes up with these speeches about how we're doing everything to protect you from fraud and this and that, and I don't get it.
I watched that WWDC.
Yeah,
I
I did.
asleep halfway through it.
I did too. Well, the WWDC, folks, is it's not
Worldwide Developers Conference.
Worldwide Developers Conference, and they always hold it in near Apple down in Silicon Valley. So how's it a Worldwide Developers Conference? You think they'd hold it in France or something like that, But this is where they showed us. Excuse me, folks. See, I'm bald. This is my new haircut, by the way. This is the I don't give a shit whether I'm going bald haircut.
At this point, you're past giving a shit about it.
Yeah.
You are.
Anyway, where was I? Okay, so they hold this thing, folks, where they Apple shows all the new stuff they're doing. The new software, the new hardware, and so on. And this thing was involved with that. This oddly enough is a little more boring than the normal conferences because it is for the technical people. Okay, and hold on a second. Let me get Jeff in here. It's held for the people who are working their asses off trying to trying to create
Jeff
new stuff.
Sauce's audio on.
Do you have your audio on there, Jeff? No.
The normal conference.
Hear it now?
Because it is for the technical.
Yeah, but we can hear.
Oh, I'm off town with that. Time.
Second, let me get Jeff in here.
I'm gonna turn it off.
For the
Yeah, sounds like you have the
So you could just hit mute and then
hit
do it.
mute.
trying to
Here.
Well, what are you getting it from?
trying to create just
Well,
It's got to be a web browser or something.
Yeah, it's a web browser that's open.
No.
That he was.
Hear it now?
Go on, Pam. You can do it. You can do it, Pam.
I don't know what the hell he's doing. Oh, you're off.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm on now.
Yeah, but somehow he's got the audio from the show going through,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's probably
an open browser.
it's an
or
open
player.
browser. Yeah, now it's quiet. Now we don't have. Wait a minute.
No, still there.
No, it's still
No,
there.
we
You
must
just started
have
up
paused.
again.
So you can hit mute and then do it.
If he hits mute, then he won't hear us.
Come on,
Oh,
Pam,
okay, here.
you can do it,
I
Pam.
don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Is there a browser open, Pam?
Just
Yeah, but
Just
somehow
this
she's
one,
got
just
the
the
audio from
YouTube.
the show going
Or
through.
just the
Close
YouTube?
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're on Skype. You don't
Skype.
need YouTube.
You're on Skype. You don't want to be on YouTube.
Okay, we dumped. That's why.
Okay, that's
There you
it.
There.
Thanks, Pam.
There you go.
Boy, you're lucky you married a younger woman, Jeff.
I'm not going to argue with that.
I can argue with that, right? So, where were we? What were we talking about? Oh, we're talking about
developers
yeah,
conference or something.
yeah. So they release all this new stuff. They're gonna. The big deal is, hey, we're gonna do a big deal here. We're gonna bring out the new Mac Pro. Now, the Mac Pro I have here is called the trash can, and I got to tell you, people said, oh, that never was a great machine. That was not their best machine, you know. And I'm going, I love it. You know, it's powerful. It does what it has to do. My life has been better for it. Nothing wrong with it. But they went ahead and they're coming out with a new one. Now mine, fully loaded with everything you can get for this thing, which I have in here, can come to about $8,000. I got it for $3,300 because I got it off eBay, and then it broke, and then Apple fixed it for free, and finally they replaced everything in the trash can, and now I've got an almost brand new machine, and I love it. But this new one starts with stuff you can get actually in a cheaper iMac, okay, for $6,000. Now that's hardly that's not a prosumer machine anymore. That's a professional machine.
Absolutely, they're going after the what do you call it? The professional television stations that you notice. You notice one of the a lot of the sponsors, Avid was one.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting ready, not sponsors, but they're the ones who are buying into this.
Yeah.
It's way faster. You know what happened is the professional in television, it used to be always Mac for graphics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it kind of switched to the Windows world for a while, and Mac is trying to get back in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came up with this real high-end device, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what they're not coming after the home consumer for those machines.
Well, they certainly aren't going to get me. That's for damn
No,
sure.
they're not. They're not going to get anybody unless you're making money doing video.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about how you can render
Mm-hmm.
multiple. I mean, I don't know very much about all this stuff, but I was listening to them talk about it. They were saying how you no longer have to break the streams or whatever it was. Yeah, it put an end to some process where,
Mm-hmm.
I guess movie companies and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this machine is just
Well, the audience is. You're not going to be able to see this. The audience will, but I have a new little thing in my iPhone that's called NDI. What is it? NDI Cam, and it allows me to use my video, my switcher, and use the iPhone as a camera. Okay, now you won't be able to see this, but this is the trash can, folks, in case you want to see what the trash can looks like. There we go. That's the trash can. This thing, well, right there. See, they call it the trash can because it looks like a trash can, and I was thinking for a while that if they didn't get it fixed properly, I was just going to put some dirt in the top of that thing and put some plants in there, But that thing, that was their last one, and that is, believe it or not, a good little machine, Hold on a second, let me turn this off. So I don't need to
There it is.
have it. What?
I just got the
there you
30-second
go.
delay so I can see it.
Yeah. People are seeing it here. Yeah, that's the trash can, and it's a great little machine. I have no argument with it at all. I've enjoyed it. Okay.
The new one looks like the old one, the cheese grater.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's what they did. They went back to making it look like a cheese grater, but even more so.
Yeah.
Even with the little handles on top, it looks like the handle on the top of a cheese grater.
Yeah.
Okay, we get the joke, guys. But you know what people say? This is strange. For years I was using the cheese grater here in the studio. The only reason I had to go to this was because I needed more power because of you see the picture now and what I put on there. Each of those pictures has to be generated and placed in a template and so on. And that takes up a lot of computing power, okay? And I needed a machine that wasn't going to breathe heavy, but that old cheese grater was breathing heavy, and for good reason. It was not as powerful a machine. But supposedly you can take the old cheese graters and put new parts in them and bring that up to being a machine almost as powerful as this Mac Pro that I just showed everybody. And you can do it. If I want to replace the CPUs to get a more modern CPU that will be faster and stronger and 12 core, it only cost about $600 to install that in the old computer, and it's only a matter of just sliding it right in. You just got to buy it. That's the biggest part of it.
600 per processor?
No, $600. It's $500 for the 2 CPUs that are there, okay? And then there is the memory chips, and you can fill all those slots with 64 gigabytes of memory. And then that brings it up to 600, and just shove that thing in there, and you've got yourself a real powerful machine. Wow. Yeah. It really is what I'm thinking of trying to actually upgrade one of my cheese graters and see what happens, you know. But I got to tell you, this new machine that they've got out, it's only an 8-core for that price. I've got a 12-core here. All right, it has 32 gigabytes of memory in that $6,000 configuration. I've got 64 gigabytes of memory. I can go on and on. It has a much more powerful graphics board in here than the graphics board in that $6,000 machine. And if you get yourself an iMac, the highest iMac that you can buy, which is about $4,000, it has the same computing power as this bottom line new cheese grater. In fact, it has more power than the bottom line new cheese grater. So what are they selling? Why aren't they they're pricing themselves uncompetitively against themselves?
No, because they're going after business who's going to go after the bigger machine, and they're not going to go for a consumer thing like an iMac or something like that. They're going to go after that high-end machine.
Okay, but how many of those are you going to sell to companies who would have bought? If you brought out just a prosumer, they would have bought it if it was better than the old one. What I'm saying is, how many people? Because here's what happens: they're going to buy it. All right. This was the argument I saw online today. People are going to buy it, and they're not going to want this new machine is upgradable. Okay, so they might buy the base machine and then just upgrade everything themselves within it and say,
Maybe.
"Fuck you, Apple." So they
You're still going to have to buy the stuff from Apple.
Okay. Well, not all of it.
Well, then you're going to lose your warranty.
No, because it's got PCI slots, and you can put in your own display cards.
You can, but if you want Apple support, I know with our equipment, if you can go and buy, it's got PCI slots. You start putting in third-party equipment that you put in, you have a problem. Now you call me for support. I look at your configuration that I know about, right? Because you bought it from me. Yeah. And I say, well, that's not our card. That's not. Sorry, you're going to have to get support somewhere else.
A lot of these cards are okayed by Apple, believe it or not. Yes, Jason.
So, but even with them making these machines and being this expensive, how far off are we from just? You don't even need a machine. You just have a gateway or whatever to access the internet, and you do everything. Your storage is online. Everything's in the cloud.
You're never going to get
not with video.
If you're, for instance, this machine, if you fully load it, it's good. If you get fully loaded, it's going to run tap out at about $35,000 to $40,000. Now, if you're a movie company and you're producing movies and you want to edit your movies, this will be more than you need. This will be exactly what you need. You could not do that online. You need the computing power in your lap or in your house.
And the other thing, more important, is animations. Like when I first moved down here, I used to work for a company called the Teaching Company, and we produced courses, college-level courses, in our TV studios, and we were all Mac. And every new editor, every new graphics person got a brand new cheese grater Mac, right? They were nuts. When we started getting into the animations, the brain, and we're showing these deep animations, and or even world, like when we do a course on a continent, and you're trying to do these really cool animations, we would have to farm all that stuff out because we did not, even with the fastest Macs, did not have the computing power to render all of this. So now what they're doing is they're giving you that ability with these machines to do a lot more of that rendering yourself and not have to pay third-party companies to do these for you. So that's what they're going after with these Mac machines.
Well, the argument here is that once they sell a machine, there's not much more they have to sell you, and there are going to be third-party things to go in those PCI slots, and you're not voiding a warranty by putting anything in that PCI slot.
Just avoid the support. You don't void a
well,
warranty.
you void the support on that particular function.
Well,
So you know where you go? Let's say it's a Radeon board. You go to Radeon support.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Right? I call up,
Yeah.
I'm a business, and when my machines aren't working, I'm losing money. So now, if it's great. If you're a home consumer, that's wonderful. But when those machines are down and those editors aren't working or those people aren't working, you're paying them, you're getting behind schedule, you got studio booked, you got this got to get done on a time. You call up Apple, and Apple's going to say, well, that card is not ours. And it seems the problem is between here and there, and you need to call them. And then you call them, they call you back, and they say, well, we think our card is working out fine, and this is the problem. In business, it rarely makes sense to do that. You want to try to stick with one throat to choke.
Well, I guess you're right about that.
Yeah, so they'll pay the money. They'll pay the money.
Well, I'm not going to pay the money. You're not going to pay the money.
No.
I mean...
But Pixar will.
But, if the original cheese grater came in at about $3,000. Later on, they got a little bit higher as things were added to it. And then the new one here, this thing started at $3,000, and then you could go up to $4,000, and then you could keep adding stuff from there. Okay, so that was the situation with the trash can. Here, you're starting off about the point at which you could almost top out a trash can. And these are pretty powerful little machines. If I get the new cheese grater with the bottom line configuration that the $6,000 configuration is, I have a more powerful machine with my trash can here than that one. Faster, better graphics card, more memory, more cores, everything. And so, I mean, like for instance, I'm happy with this. Well, why do I have to get this cheese grater? And to begin with, it's not even, what I love about the cheese grater is when I moved this thing from the guest room where I was setting it up into here, I walked in here holding it in one hand. I was grabbing it by the lid and just walking in and putting it down on the table here. This new one is as heavy as the old cheese grater, and I don't know if you ever lifted one of those cheese graters, but I did about a week ago, and I'm telling you, man, maybe I'm just getting too old to carry that piece of shit, but that's a heavy fucking machine.
Yeah, they're big, heavy machines.
So I mean, what do we do? But I'm very happy with the cheese grater. I can't, I have not for one moment thought about buying the new one. Now let's go one step further. There's a monitor that comes with this thing. Have you seen the monitor?
Yes.
Well, it's pretty awesome, if you're really nitpicky. Nit is the term here. They have things called nits, is it? Which is has to do with the brightness of the picture versus the contrast and everything. These are 8K monitors. 8K. Your eye can't even see 4K, and already they're going to 8K. All right. This thing costs $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the screen. If you want the stand,
I know it's $1,000.
it's going to cost you another $1,000. And I'm
Yeah.
going, what? Does this stand below me? I mean, does it do something I don't know about?
Yeah, they get a little bit. I mean, I understand why you charge for a monitor like that, but a stand, $1,000 bucks. It's just, and they're saying they're not even sure it's going to support the Visa, the standard Visa mount on the back of that monitor. So you might be stuck having to buy that $1,000 stand.
Well, and then when they were showing it at the WWDC or whatever, they showed 4 of them right next to each other, saying you can run up to 4 of them at one time out of this new machine. And I'm going, that's 20 fucking thousand. Wait a minute, excuse me, 24,000 with the stands. Why would? I'm
I've
sorry.
worked at places where they would spend that money.
I'm sorry, I don't have that kind of fuck you money. And even
No.
if I had a company, I don't think I would have that kind of fuck you money.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Oh, well, aren't there PCs around that can do pretty fast computing for movies?
Yes,
Yeah.
but there are these processes, and when they were talking about that cheese grater, they mentioned those processes that need to run in order to render.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they called, and they said those are now a thing of the past
Mm-hmm. Oh, look.
with these new computers, and that saves a shit ton of time.
Gee.
Because we used to render models, 3D models for television, just like things that run for 20 or 30 seconds,
Mhm.
and they would take 3-4 days to render.
Oh, I
This
remember
is going
those
back
days.
to-
I remember those
So-
days when I was doing 3D with Lightwave.
Yeah. So
And
could you imagine where it is today? How much bigger these files have gotten, and why these machines would be important in those circumstances.
who reminded me that that might have been Phil last time. I don't know where I would start rendering, and I would say, "Well, let's come back tomorrow morning and see if it's finished."
Right.
You know. Now I can do that same rendering on this machine on the trash can in about a minute, 2 minutes. But it was rough in the old days. But,
And if that's what you're doing for a living, and that's exactly the kind of work that you're constantly doing in your environment, in your studio,
Mhm.
and you notice that how many times he said the word studio. They got the optional wheels for the cheese grater.
Yeah, because I
They
think
said so you could wheel it around your studio. These are designed for, Pixar and all these animation.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a
companies.
second. This is Apple. Pixar gets them for free, I think.
Well, but still, that's who's no. There's paper money, or there's phony money that is on
The
the
left
books. That
pocket
are
has
getting
to
them
pay
for
the
free.
right pocket.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me bring up a new subject here, since we don't want to.
Please.
Huh?
Please.
Well, no. I think
technical.
people are interested in this because they're interested in new equipment and what's being done with new
Even though
equipment.
you
and
talk
so
about
on.
this new equipment is just for these small numbers of people.
Well, what I'm saying is, folks, all of you and me are too poor to be able to afford even the wheels that go on the bottom of this new machine, because I think they're $1,000 if I'm not
We're
mistaken.
too poor to breathe in the same room.
Yeah. So Tim Cook, if you buy one, I hear is personally going to go out and blow everyone that buys one, and he has experience, so he knows what he's doing. Here's the thing I brought up the other day, and I think it's worth talking about more, and that is a lot of major companies have bought up media companies now, and it is changing the landscape of media as we know it. So much so that our dear president the other day said, boycott AT&T because they own CNN. Which is kind of impossible to do when you have a 2-year obligation to AT&T, but that he doesn't live with everybody else, so he has no idea that that's the reality. But the fact is that these companies are buying up media companies like crazy. And what they're doing to those media companies is not going to make you too terribly happy. And the first sign across the bow that we saw this week was that DC has an app, has a channel, DC app and channel with in which they run DC made movies as well as all their comic books, and they have all the old shows that they did, and all the Batman movies, all the Superman movies, and so on. And then they have new shows they're producing, and right now they're producing Swamp Thing. I don't know if you remember the old Swamp Thing movies, but Swamp Thing, the series, and it's very good. It's very good. It had one episode last week, and before the second episode aired, they announced it was being canceled. And the reason it was being canceled was because they wouldn't say why exactly, but a lot of us believe it has something to do with AT&T buying up Warner, which owns DC, and them saying, "Nah, we don't want to pay for that. You know, we want you to do a little more. We want you to run this place on a little more cheaply than you have."
I disagree with you right there, because I can tell you, because I work for one of these companies you're talking about right now. I don't want to say their name, but they sit there and they talk about how they're keeping them separate.
Well, just give us their initials. Is it AT&T?
No, I work for American Telephone and Telegraph. But they sit there and the CEO comes out and says how they're keeping them two separate companies because and that's where the whole monopoly thing comes in. It can't be a monopoly when you're a communications company and you bought an entertainment company. It's two separate entities, but that's where the future is going. So if you're going to be an entertainment company, it's good to be a communications company too, so you can provide the whole shabam. But I think the big thing that everybody's going to be making a mistake is all these companies want to come up with their own streaming service, and they're not going to want to sell their product to other companies. So you're going to sit there and all you're going to do is, hey, this month I'm going to have this one. I'm going to cancel it next month, and then I'm going to get the next one so I can just binge watch what I want to watch. And, because otherwise you're going to be getting all of them.
How long before we get some kind of antitrust suit going here?
What's antitrust? What about that is antitrust?
Well, when you have product, and let's say
a telephone company bought a TV company.
Let's say Netflix needs movies, and Disney, which is now owned by God, I keep forgetting who owns what now. Disney owns everything practically.
They just bought Fox television stations.
They just bought Fox television stations, FX.
Now that's more of a monopoly.
All of Fox TV,
regional sports networks, everything.
Yeah, they bought those. They've got all the Star Wars movies. They've got they've got so much. They own most of the important media of the last part of this century. Okay, the last century. And now they say to Netflix, "Well, we're not going to sell it to you because we have our own channel coming on." Where what you're doing is you're creating an anti-competitive practice by not selling the movies you own to somebody who in the past has shown your movies, but now you're squeezing them out. I think that is getting near antitrust.
I agree.
And I know that when AT&T bought Time Warner, or that they were ended up saying that they were going to have a third party handle the distribution of their programming to the competitors, like to Comcast or whatever, because they always negotiate how much they're going to pay per subscriber, per channel, or whatever. And AT&T said we'll have a third party handle it. But now it's just almost like everybody's just saying, I'm not going to sell you my
But
stuff.
the question here is how much are they going to put their fingers in the pie? In other words, for instance, there's a belief that this whole merger had something to do with this show being canceled after only being run once. They didn't know whether anybody liked it or not, They didn't have any real numbers on it. It's also said that one of the reasons it might have been canceled is they film it in North Carolina, and they get something like $64 million from North Carolina to make the show there. They have the tax incentive or something like that, and that somehow got fucked up. That may have had something to do with it, but they could have gone somewhere else to make it. They could have gone over to Louisiana. They got swamps there. You don't have to just do it in North Carolina. Anyway, so here they are. Somebody is fucking around with DC. All right? Now, we go over to some of the other properties that AT&T now owns. How about Turner Classic Movies, which is a gem, It's one of the few channels we have that really has a mission and has done it beautifully over the years. What's going to happen to TCM? Are they going to finally? Oh, we're going to fold that into our Disney Channel. Well, come on, and maybe we won't. It's just I'm worried for all these things that we really love, maintaining somewhat decent in the light of companies who are going to want to do away with duplicity and fold everything into one thing like the Disney Channel and whatever. And
that's where they're going to need to make new rulings and stuff to start saying, yes, you can come out with your own content that you don't have to sell to other networks or, other providers. But then there's going to have to be something where they say, you know what, you do have to sell at a reasonable rate this programming to, maybe past program that you already did sell before you have to continue to sell. Versus, if you want to come out with new programming that you only want to do on your own to incentivize somebody to subscribe to your product. But like I said, then all that's going to do is, hey, now I'm going to subscribe to Netflix, for these next couple of months, and then I'm going to stop. I'll subscribe to Disney for the next few months, and either that or I just get a VPN and watch it on Netflix from overseas.
Well, I mean, you can say that now, but you don't know if that's going to be practical eventually. But what happens, like for instance, take Netflix as an example. Netflix had a deal with Marvel, in which they had several shows that were started on Netflix from Marvel. Luke Cage, I'm trying to remember all
Jessica
the other
Jones.
shows. Jessica Jones. Good shows.
Daredevil.
Well, they've all been canceled. Jessica Jones has one more run and that's it. They've been canceled. Why have they been canceled?
Because of Disney.
Because Marvel pulled it from Netflix. And where are those old episodes going to show up? Are they going to show up on Netflix even though they're a Netflix original? I doubt it. They'll wind up on the Disney Channel.
But see, that's where I'm thinking that I don't know. If they sold it before, they would continue to sell it, but maybe they'd stop and the fourth season is going to only be available on Disney. But like I said, and then that's where you're gonna end up going month to month. I'm gonna have this one this month. I'll have this next one next month.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, Rob, but isn't ESPN owned by Disney now too?
Yep.
It's been a long time they've been owned by Disney.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's why they had to sell. That's why after the merger with Fox, Disney has to sell all the Fox regional sports networks. It's a conflict of interest.
All right. But I mean,
here's even more of a monopoly one that I heard of today. Apparently, that I think there's thoughts or talks about maybe Dish Network actually merging with DirecTV.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So it'll basically be one satellite provider.
Okay, and by the way, let's drag
money,
Patrick kicking and screaming into this discussion. Your Star Wars movies, which you love, huh?
What about them?
Owned by Disney.
Well, yeah, I've known that. It was annoying that they took over.
Yeah, and so what is going to happen? I mean, already we see that Star Wars brand is being watered down because every year they feel compelled to bring out a Star Wars movie of some sort. So they bring out all these nitwit pictures like Rogue One that nobody really wants to see and doesn't fit into the greater story,
They're taking the cue from what they feel the Marvel franchise can do. And Marvel could do every year because there were different stories with different characters. Yeah. You can't do the same thing.
Every year? I think they're doing like 2 Marvel pictures a year. Okay?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is there's more there that they could do individual pictures versus Star Wars or even Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Star Trek came out every year or every other year, would it just, you can't do it, and they're watering it down.
Let's see, who owns Star Trek now? Is Disney doesn't own it? Who owns it?
Yeah.
Paramount owns it.
Paramount's still its own company, isn't it?
Paramount's still its own company. Yeah.
So I think one thing that we've just found out over the years, we found out, that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father, but apparently Mickey Mouse is Darth Vader's father.
He is now.
Well, let's put it this way: Mickey Mouse is wearing the pants in the family. Okay, so yeah, the 2 little buttons on them, which is nice. But I mean, it's just all this. What we just lost, Jeff. Jeff, what happened to Jeff? Jeff, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, turn your camera on. It's not on.
Hey, so Alex, I gotta ask you because
Yeah.
I've been hearing bad things lately. You watched the Star Trek Defiant or Discovery, right?
Star Trek Discovery. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yes, I liked the first year.
So I thought it was, I watched season 1 and season 2. I thought it was awesome. I'm just hooked.
I
And then
liked
find out it's the same people doing
season.
Star Trek Picard.
I
I'm
thought
hearing that
yeah.
they're saying it was a failure.
To begin with, Star Trek Discovery first season I was just absolutely amazed by it. I thought that they hit all the right notes. They established what their show was as opposed to the rest of the Star Trek universe. I thought they did a very good job of that. Second season, I felt they kind of were wandering around for about half the season trying to figure out where the fuck it was going. But it's also because they changed showrunners. So that always.
I loved it, and I thought like the cinematography of it was
Oh,
beautiful.
all that the production quality on it was exquisite.
It was amazing, and I was disappointed. I was thinking, I'm like, this should have been on regular TV, so more people could have watched it. But and then to hear them saying, oh yeah, it was a miserable failure and blah blah blah. I think, man, you guys watch the same show I did?
Do you know, this is interesting, by the way, as a side note, I saw this tonight and I didn't believe it when I read it. But the IMDb says that they have come out with the fact that one program this year has been the top rated show of all time. I will repeat that again. IMDb says they have come out with what is now on their list the #1 top-rated show of all time on IMDb. What show do you think that is?
Is it a broadcast network show, a cable show, or a
It's
streaming show?
It's a cable show.
Got to be Game of Thrones.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're not far from home. You're on the same network.
Mad Men?
Huh? No, they weren't on HBO. You ready? Hold on to your seats, folks. I don't understand this either. They say it is the top-rated show of all time on IMDb. Now, I don't know what that means. That would qualify to be #1 on IMDb. Chernobyl.
What?
Oh,
Never
somebody
heard
in
of it.
the
Huh?
chat said that.
What? Who
I
said
think
that?
somebody in the chat room was talking about Chernobyl.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's brand new, isn't it? I mean,
Yes, but it has been getting huge ratings, just huge ratings, and I don't know what they mean about it's the #1 all-time top-rated show of all time on IMDb.
So maybe just people are going, can you like rate shows on IMDb?
I have
Give
no
it like
idea.
5 stars
I
type of
have
thing?
no idea because then I went to the story, and the story. Hold on a second. Let me see here. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Here comes the story. It just says HBO miniseries Chernobyl has proven to be a genuine phenomenon. Launched without much hyper fanfare, the drama about the catastrophic explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 1986 topped IMDb's list of top-rated TV shows of all time. After just 3 episodes, it may be a harrowing subject matter, but some complicated science to understand, but it proves the audiences crave creative, smart storytelling. And let me look. They have a list of their all-time shows. Here we go. Top-rated shows. Let me go here. Chernobyl is #1. It has an IMDb. Oh, I see what the rating is. Okay, it's their rating of how good it is. All right.
So it's like Siskel and Ebert of.
You know how they have those stars on IMDb? It has 9.6.
Okay.
It may be as a result of reviews from people and so on. Planet Earth 2 is 9.5, Band of Brothers and Planet Earth, then Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones is down with a 9.3. That's what they're referring to. But
I think
still.
it's American bots out there just rating it good to try to make Russia look bad.
The favorite show with bots. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's pretty amazing, though. I mean, but how many here have seen Chernobyl? Anybody?
Never even heard of it.
Oh.
Never heard
I've
of it.
got to clue you into something. If you have HBO,
Yeah.
watch Chernobyl. Okay, it is. It's probably, I think, that and a show called Fosse Verdon, I think, are the two best shows that were done this year so far, and incredible, just incredible. You think we have bureaucracy here in the United States? Go watch Chernobyl and see how the Russians do bureaucracy. You know, and how they cover up stuff. They take people out behind the barn and shoot them behind the head. You know, that's how they keep a secret.
It's the Republican way.
It's the Republican way, yeah.
Why do you think Trump reveres Russia so much?
You hear about these Republicans, what they talk about, what they want their society to be. It's like, man, why don't you just move to North Korea? Because that's what you want.
Yeah. Anyway, so, oh boy, I'm exhausted tonight again. I don't know what it is.
Hey, you know what else makes you tired, Alex?
What?
Depression.
Well, that's what I've been told. I might be depressed.
Why not just try to go on something and see it? You know, if it doesn't, go on something for a month. If it don't like
but
it,
I have to go to a
get off
shrink.
of it.
I have to go to a shrink to do that.
No, you don't.
It may be medical.
I went on Prozac and I got it from my family doctor.
Maybe I have a heart problem. I don't know. You know.
But you have been very snappy lately.
Snappy? What do you mean
Yes.
snappy? Fuck you! I'm not snappy.
Dude, was it the last episode you were arguing with Phil about a 4K versus 8K? Who the fuck cares?
Well, I happen to agree with you. Who does care? Apparently, Phil does.
But it just, I'm sorry, from my point, it seemed like he was just reading something, not saying what you had or what you knew or something. It was just like reading, and it's a 4K, and I don't know, it's just,
Yeah. Well, Phil, go 4K over the money and buy one. But anyway, no, I haven't been that grouchy lately. Maybe with Phil, but that's.
But and even that, the whole thing, like with SG, like he's wiping off his camera, and
No.
he wasn't.
No,
you could have just carried on the conversation, and act like he wasn't
Can
there.
I say this? I absolutely hate SG.
I
All
did.
right. Let me explain
you
why.
made that apparently
Let me
clear.
explain why.
Abundantly.
Every time SG comes on the program, he does something that completely throws everything off. Last night, the what can we call it? The Tony effect on his camera.
Fog.
The fog. He was wiping it and it wasn't going away. I mean, it was just terrible. And he was wiping it, and it was just, we couldn't. He was monopolizing the situation. And then
I listened to us on the podcast.
Other times he does it and his audio isn't working, or another time he does it, something else is not working, or then when he finally does get things working, we only see the top of his head. Fuck you, SG. And then one night I'm running an interview here, and I've got my Skype open. I don't have the line on. Okay, I don't. You would not see it as being green. You can still call, believe it or not, and it will still ring, but it says, invisible is what it says, all right? He starts calling, at like 15 minutes after the hour while I'm running some kind of an interview, and I'm trying to figure and I had opened up the Skype, so I had to close the Skype, so SG couldn't get in. He wasn't even listening to the fucking show to see we weren't taking calls.
But see, and on that one, I could almost. I didn't know your.
Well, I mean,
presence. You know,
Rob
heard
had
after
that
your
problem
presence was
tonight,
changed,
but for an entirely different reason.
I know, like, at one time Phil was giving you a suggestion of, why not start taking calls while the interview's still running, so that way you can go from the interview right to a panel. But maybe I was thinking you're doing that, but if your presence was shown not to be.
Yeah, it was said
accepting
invisible.
calls.
Yet he calls. He's not listening to the show. So I mean, fuck him. That's why I was annoyed with him last night. That was just the end of a whole series of times he came on, and I had to spend 5 minutes with him until finally he hung up because he couldn't get something to work, or because you know what I'm talking about, Rob?
Yeah, it was the show I was listening to that I called in because I forgot it was live.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I forgot it wasn't live. I mean,
Yeah. Right. So,
fucking idiot.
See, it was funny. You wanted to call in during they were talking about the cameras, right?
The 4K thing and the 8K thing, and then the Apple machines, and
I
I'm like,
wanted
I
to
gotta
call-
call in,
I
and I
wanted to
call
call
in
and
at the last 5 seconds of the exchange, and I didn't expect to see Damien there, and all of a sudden I'm on Damien's show and the theme's playing, and he's going, Rob called in. I'm not sure why. I'm like, wait a minute, I must have looked like a nut because I was expecting to see Alex and everybody who was talking about something that I had pressed the play button on. It wasn't like I didn't press the play button.
Yeah.
I just forgot. It wasn't like I tuned in and it was running.
Well, I did something today. I announced last night that I had gotten word that iHeartRadio has the
Can't find
Ramble
it.
on their website.
Couldn't find it.
You go to podcast, type in Alex Bennett's Ramble.
Can I do it on my iHeart app on my
Yes,
phone?
absolutely.
Because I did that when I heard you talking about it. I went and I
go
typed
there.
Alex Bennett. Boom.
You go there. Wait a minute. Hold on a
But
second.
there's a different Alex Bennett, so I don't know if I did Alex Bennett's Ramble.
Hey,
and I
do
think I
Alex
did.
Bennett's Ramble.
Oh, you have to put in with
The-
Ramble, huh?
Yeah,
There
either
was
that or
an
just go to
Alex Bennett,
Gabnet.
wasn't
Just go to
counted.
the Gabnet site and click on the iHeartRadio thing up there, and it'll go right to it.
Oh, there it is. You have to put in Alex Bennett's Ramble. I just put in Alex Bennett, and it didn't
See,
come
and I
up.
think that's why I was doing Alex Bennett, and then I was doing the Ramble.
I tried
Yeah.
the Ramble and I tried Alex Bennett, and
Yeah.
neither one worked.
Yeah,
You
Alex
need to type
Bennett's.
in Alex Bennett's
Yeah,
Ramble.
they don't. It's not like they have a wide recognition of what you're
Their
putting
search
in.
engine it should be better because
Yeah,
even just
yeah.
typing in Alex Bennett, you should be able to.
It should-
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, right?
Exactly.
There's another Alex Bennett on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine, but it should be able to distinguish
Cool.
between them.
I'm going to follow this.
Yeah, but
I
anyways.
think they called that other Alex Bennett Jr.
So I just figured, well, what the hell if they put my show on? So I added Alex Bennett's Life in the Passing Lane, and then I applied to
good.
get the intersection and the exchange on.
That's good to hear because I do a lot of driving, and while I'm driving at 75 miles an hour, I hate futzing with, like, I would love to listen to Gabnet a lot of times, but I don't have an app, right? So I've got to go to, if I want to listen to the podcast, like, the Life in the Passing Lane, I don't even try because it's when you're driving, you can't.
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
difficult. If people want to at all listening to us on, we do have an Android app, believe it or not. It's an old one. It's got an old logo on it, but it works. It still works, and it's got the live, and it's got all the programs on it there. So you can use Android for that but you don't have an Android. You have an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I can't afford to hire somebody to go out and do an app because those are not easy to do. Okay. In fact, we actually had to have somebody do that Android app, but it was easier to get it on and passed and all of that. But anyway, so we are available on iHeartRadio, which is nice. We're also available on Spotify. We're also available on TuneIn, our live stream. Where else are we? God, we're everywhere.
So does the iHeartRadio have any type of monetary type of thing where if you do start getting so many people
No. They just, they wanted to get in. What they wanted to do was add to their radio presence a podcast presence. And so there we are, Now, we're probably part of 10,000 other podcasts that are on there. But
Maybe you'll become an iHeartRadio partner.
yeah, that worked out well for us with TuneIn, didn't it? One day I get a letter from TuneIn that says we're canceling our relationship with you. And this was a couple of years after I never heard a word from them.
Didn't know you had a
I
relationship.
never knew I had a relationship. In fact, I had since told everybody on Gabnet to quit saying we're a TuneIn partner. So. Anyway.
I saw Jeff had his hand up.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jeff.
I just looked to see if on what was on a podcast today, I think, early this morning. And all of a sudden, yours came up like, I don't know, the fifth or sixth thing that was on the list.
What was this?
Podcasts.
Podcasts.
Yeah, just asked for podcasts. That's all.
Yeah.
And Alex Bennett.
Where'd you ask for the podcast?
I don't remember.
It's a website, or was it like Alexa or something?
It could have been for Google, for all I remember.
Could be based on your search results.
Yeah, it could be based on your search record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
you're up there like, I don't know, number 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Oh, you never know.
I don't know what that was about, but I don't believe it's suddenly a wonderful thing that's happening to us and we're getting recognition.
You get ratings and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, right. We're number 1. Us and Chernobyl. Anyway, so where were we? Let's see here. I know that Rob is sick of talking about politics, and apparently all of you are too, because we haven't even talked about politics once tonight. And I think it's at a dead halt anyway, because I was tuned into MSNBC, and I think they were playing Yahtzee. I think they were that bored with what's going on. Yes, Jason.
So I do have to ask, how Trump is wanting to put a tariff against Mexico for not doing enough to protect America's borders. So I was just kind of curious. Why is it Mexico's responsibility to protect America's borders? Yeah, that's who I wanted to answer, Patrick.
He just dropped it.
Yeah,
Did he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he dropped it. So your question is moot because.
Well, he said they came to an agreement or something. He said they came to an agreement.
He said that Mexico promised that they would be more. They would crack down more at the border.
And they're going to pay for the wall.
And other thing that was a turnabout today is now Joe Biden is against the Hyde Amendment.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hyde is bad. And I'll tell you what, just from my personal standpoint, not because he's a Democrat, but if I was looking at him, what bothers me about that is somebody who has changed their mind on an issue that big overnight. That is scary to me. And that was one of the reasons I did not like Trump, is how he changed his mind so many things so quickly. It's a scary prospect to me that if you believe in something, you have the right to change your mind. And yes, it can happen overnight sometimes, but it just seemed weird to me because I turned the news on today and now I see that Biden changes his mind and is now against the Hyde Amendment. So,
yeah, Jeff.
I think that Biden actually had asked somebody a question last week, and he didn't understand what the lady said. And therefore he made a mistake. And I'm not going to say it's a positive negative or a double negative, but he didn't get it quite figured out.
Well, yeah, but he made a mistake, and that's the operative word here.
Yeah.
That if we're going to have somebody who makes mistakes while he's
Like
running
that.
for this critical office, he's going to fuck up enough that he could just blow the whole thing. So, do we want this guy?
I think he can't fool around with women today.
What do you you mean with women? You absolutely can't, unless your name is Trump, of course. And then he seems to be able to get away with all this shit.
Well, those two women who talk to him every day are full of shit.
Yeah. I have to hand it to Trump in his business. A lot of his people who were running his company were women. So, but that's so he could, touch him on the pussy. But anyway, Biden, I think, is a bad idea at this point. I at one point felt he was a good idea only in that I thought he could hold his own against Trump. But he's already making too many gaffes. It's too early in the game to be making gaffes. And anybody else have a feeling on this?
I wanted him to be Hillary Clinton's vice president, and then if they would have won, he would have been the longest running vice president in the history of the country.
Can you run for vice president again?
Yep. There's nothing
No
against it.
limit
It's
on
all
him.
about president.
Really? Well,
So he blew his chance to be in history. Bigger footprint in history.
Yeah. Are you anybody here still a Biden fan, or even think Biden's a good idea? Yes, Rob.
Never was.
I'm just raising my hand because I think Biden is the only one who could beat Trump.
I
don't think any of the other ones. I don't think any of the other ones have a shot.
Well, look, for instance, I've warmed up a lot to Elizabeth Warren in that I find her intelligent. I find her proposals are the kind of proposals I want to see a presidential candidate making. She's all the things I would probably want in a candidate except one thing: winnable. And that she clearly is not. Okay, and it has.
I think she is.
No, wait a minute. Don't get mad, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie gets upset.
It has to do. I got to tell you, with the cosmetic factor.
But if you stop it with that, and you start saying people who believe that are dumbasses and need to start backing people for their ideas, not for what.
Well,
they look
I agree
like.
with you. I agree with you.
We kept saying people are dumbasses for voting for Trump, but he's the president.
But he also lost by 3 million votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just don't
he
think she
lost
could
by
win.
3 million votes, but he's still president. Okay, so it doesn't matter if he got a quadrillion more votes, less votes. He's president. All right.
How is it that you could vote for Hillary? But you
choice.
can't vote for
It was easy. I put my fingers on my nose, and
Okay.
I pulled the lever.
Oh, she so much better looking than.
Well, I don't vote because somebody looks good. Although if OAC wants to run, I'll be happy to vote for her in a second. But
You see her tending bar
no,
last week?
really?
Yeah, she was tending bar. Man, she looked good behind the bar.
It's good all the time.
Before I die, I want a president I can jerk off to. Okay, is that asking too much?
Well, maybe you just got to swing for the other team. Because, hey, Buttigieg might be there, too, so.
No way. Just not going to happen.
Well,
It's not going to vote that way.
I think Buttigieg is actually pretty damn good.
His worst thing about him is his name.
Well, I don't think it is, because I think that sometimes an unpronounceable name allows you to gain a certain notoriety because everybody's either making fun of the name or whatever.
There used to be a guy named Obama.
And to be gay and have a name that sounds like "but something," people make jokes about the name and whatever, but they remember him. They remember him as Mayor Pete. That's what they've done. That's smart. I think that he's intelligent. I think he certainly could go up against Trump because he did serve in the military, not once but twice. He did go.
He served in the military.
He does know
once.
another language besides gibberish, and knows what 9 languages. He went to Harvard. This guy has all the things that Trump was going to find it hard to fight.
He went to Wharton Business School.
Yep.
He's has an elite education.
Yep.
You
Yep.
wouldn't know it.
Oh, who? Trump?
Trump.
Oh, yeah, he went to Wharton. Yeah. Well, so much for Wharton.
The only difference between his dad and who was the one actress now is his dad didn't get caught.
You put him on the swim team, did he?
Yeah, all right. It's gonna be on anything that was with his feet because he had bone spurs.
Yeah. Well, he was no big fan of that war. Did you hear him? He was no fan of the war.
Right.
He made it almost sound like he didn't go because I didn't believe in the war. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, there were a lot of other people that were over there who didn't believe in it either, you know? But they went. And if they didn't go, they then put themselves on the line and clogged up the judicial system here in the United States. I considered that a brave act. I didn't consider moving to Canada a particularly brave act, you know? But staying here and clogging up the system certainly was a brave act. And but he wasn't a resistor. He was a guy with a fucking bone spur that that his father probably manufactured.
Well, and that's what somebody mentioned too. That they wanted to see his physical record because they're saying that bone spurs don't go away. So if he had them back then, he would still have them, but he doesn't remember what foot he had them
You
on.
didn't remember what foot he had him on, right?
But bone spurs supposedly don't go away unless you have them operated on.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then there'd be a record of the operation.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, the guy was a draft dodger. All right? But he didn't believe in the war, so he had the right not to go, right?
He had the money not to go, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I even served for Christ's sake, And who am I? I'm the biggest coward alive. Yeah, so I don't know.
So how long were you actually on a boat for?
I was on it's not a boat, it's a ship. Okay, to begin with. You call it a boat and they laugh at you. And you don't call it upstairs either. It's topside. And downstairs is below. This is all the nomenclature that if you don't use it, they make fun of you in the Navy. Anyway. Is that a hat or a dog bowl?
It's my dad's Navy hat.
Oh, is it your dad's Navy hat? Okay,
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, I'll get to you in a second, Patrick. I served on the USS Topeka, which was a guided missile cruiser. And the reason I got on that ship was because when they asked me what kind of ship I wanted to be assigned to, I said, well, what are they? They said, well, they're cruisers, they're destroyers, and they named a whole bunch of them, and I went, well, I don't want to be on a destroyer because it destroys stuff. But a cruiser probably just zips around the water. Have you ever seen a cruiser? These things are fucking huge. And the guided missiles? Yep, we had guided missiles right there. And in one case, they had taken it out it had been retrofitted to guided missiles, and they took it out and they shot the guided missiles, and since they were heat-seeking missiles, they came back and went at the smokestacks on the ship. Yeah, this was the ship I was on, okay? Pride of the fucking Navy, the USS Topeka. Yes, yes, Patrick.
The only thing you call a boat in the Navy is a submarine.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Submarine is called a boat, everything else is a ship.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
And if you've ever been on an aircraft carrier, it's just called a big motherfucker.
Has anyone seen an aircraft carrier?
I think I was on. At one point, I had the opportunity to go on an aircraft carrier, and it's
New York has one in the harbor, right?
They're huge. They're huge.
Doesn't New York have one docked permanently?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Corpus Christi, too.
You know what I don't get is if you think about some of these airplanes that are huge, like look at Air Force One. How does that thing even get off the fucking ground? You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. And when you look at these ships, you go, how do these things not sink? But they don't. You know, and they're, you can build a boat as big as you can build a boat, and it will still float. So anyway, they're huge. They're just huge. They're like a city in size.
Well, when I was in Pearl Harbor, we were about to take the tour where you take the boat to the memorial.
Yeah.
And we got delayed by 3 hours because the USS John Stennis was coming into port.
Yeah.
So they had the choppers coming in, and we were watching the aircraft carrier come in. And I've never seen an aircraft carrier up close. Well, that fucking thing, when we finally got in our boat to go to the memorial, you couldn't even see the top of the fucking thing, and we were probably 500 yards away from it.
Mhm.
I couldn't believe how big it was. And when we went on to Missouri for the tour on that, I couldn't believe how big it was, and then again, how small it was.
Have you seen the USS John McCain?
Neither
No,
is
Trump.
Trump.
Well, neither is Trump. That's what I was going to say.
They have thousands of people on those aircraft carriers.
There are about
Yeah.
3,000 people on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, they were on Liberty when I was in Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
They were on Liberty. Let me tell you, the night before they were there, the Honolulu it was busy but not bad. The night that they came in, I've never seen more people partying in bars, and just because they were in the Gulf for, I think it was 6 or 8 months, so they hadn't been to port, and they were on their way to I think their port of call is Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
But they were stopping in Hawaii, and let me tell you, the couple of days they were there, they fucking partied. They partied hard.
It's like New York City. Every year they have Fleet Week,
Yeah.
and you see them all over Manhattan. They come ashore and they party.
They always used to ask me, why is it that Navy guys always wear their uniforms when they're on shore? You see more Navy people wearing, and the reason is that
Pussy.
no, you are not allowed to stash civvies on the ship. So if you're in a port where you don't have a locker, say offshore, like New York City, you have to wear your uniform. That's the clothes you've got. And that's why you always see the Navy in uniform, but you don't see the Air Force running around in uniform and the Army running around in uniform a lot, for that very reason. Because you could never keep your civvies on the ship. You had to have, like I was in Long Beach, and you rented a locker room somewhere to keep your civilian clothes in. And you would change into them and then go out and do whatever you had to do. But, just a little Navy lore from this old sod, or whatever you call them. What do they call sailors?
Yes, sailors.
Sailors. What do we call sailors? They're called sailors. Yeah. And anyway, but I lived on a ship for a while. Yeah, I had a bunk bed and everything.
Well, like how long? Months or?
I think I was there for about maybe 3 or 4 months until I got word that Armed Forces Radio and Television Service wondered where I was and wanted me to.
Did you ever get to a point where you thought, how the hell am I going to make this whole?
Oh,
this
I was getting ready to throw up pretty much for 2 years. Because the first day, the first time I realized this was not for me is we went out. They took the boat out for just a little cruise somewhere to just blow out the stacks and stuff like that, right? And so I go down below to the mess. See, I got all the nomenclature here for you, to the mess. And I say, I think I'll have some soup, okay? And I get a bowl of soup, and I remember this to this day. I'm sitting there.
You say, "Hey, Cookie, give me a bowl of soup."
And I'm a little lightheaded today again, and I hope I don't throw up telling the story. But I went, oh, this is great. You know, everything's fine. We're on the water. I'm feeling great. And then I sat down and I'm looking at the bowl, and the soup is in the bowl is going like this. Okay. And the more it's going like this, the more I'm starting to get nauseous. And now I'm turning green. And one thing you don't want to be is you don't want to be below when you're on the water, because when you're below, you don't have a reference point for your vision.
Yeah.
If you're on the deck, you can
Yeah,
see the horizon and you can adapt to it. But
Right.
when you're, I remember just going on little sailboats and going below, when we're out on the water and getting incredibly nauseous because again I didn't have that reference point. And then I kept throwing up for 3 days on that ship. I mean, while it was out, and I said, I just don't know if my stomach can take this for the next year and 3/4 or whatever. Luckily, I constantly pestered these people at Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. They got a hold of the Defense Department, who could get assignments for that. And the Defense Department, they said, who do you know in the Defense Department? We just got orders from the Defense Department. Not from the Navy, from the Defense Department. You're going to Hollywood. So I went to Hollywood. And I batched it pretty much for a year and 3/4. Well, the thing was, I was getting paid Navy pay, plus I was getting a stipend for living off base. And so I had to find an apartment and feed myself. So for the better part of a year and 3/4, it was a small hovel of an apartment with me and the silverfish, and Kraft macaroni and cheese, which was 20 cents a box, feeding me pretty much for the 2 years.
Wow.
But I never had to wear a uniform except on Armed Forces Day. Yeah, I always went to work, as it were, wearing my civvies. Wearing a sport coat and a tie, and being respectful, as it were. So that was it was rough. It was rough. It really was. Yes, Jeff. Turn on your mic. Turn on your mic, Jeff. Reminder to Jeff, turn on your mic. Yes. Oh, no, he just turned off his camera.
Bingo. I'm on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you go on a sailboat, a small sailboat?
Well, I know.
If you're up?
If I'm up, if I'm on top, if I'm on deck, I'm fine. Well, almost fine. A few years ago, my ex-lawyer, the one who's dead now, Fred Reamer, had a boat, and he every now and then would take us out in the boat. And this one particular day, he went out, and people will know this if they live in the Bay Area, but there's nobody here from the Bay Area tonight, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you go out under the Golden Gate Bridge, past the beginning of the Golden Gate Bridge, there's a place called the Potato Patch. And it supposedly, while the water inside the bay is very placid and smooth, you hit the potato patch and it's like this. And he went out into the potato patch and I threw up. And I hadn't even had lunch. Okay. And I don't know where that green stuff came from, but it was coming out of me. I just, and Fred said to me, don't feel bad. He said, most experienced people are, sometimes I come out the potato patch and I start throwing up. So, I was able to throw up above on deck as well. But if you're if you're traveling around and you're below, I do get nauseous. But if I go up on deck, I'm fine, so. But I was not the best of sailors, okay?
You're not a good seaman.
Oh, gob. That was the term I was looking for. I was not the best gob you ever saw. I don't know where gob comes from. Isn't that the way the guy in, what was that show? Oh, God. What was the show with Ron Howard narrated it? But the guy's name was G-O-B. It was pronounced Job. But anyway. Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the show. See, I'm not that weak. I'm not that flippy here. I'm running out of steam, that's for damn sure. Gee, I used to be able to do all night when now it takes me all night to do. So, anyway. So we're, I just think that our president should be looked at as a draft dodger. And we should realize that he's, we should stop talking about him. That would drive him crazy if people stopped talking about him. Then he'd be like a baby and he'd start crying like crazy and trying to do. If we kept our mouths shut, if we didn't talk about him, he would be trying to get our attention so much that he would make some kind of a major mistake. But by goading him, he doesn't make those mistakes. He's responding to this stuff. But if we didn't mention him, if everybody just shut up and said, "Oh, who cares about the president? Hey, we got a problem with this firearms thing, and we got problems with our infrastructure, and what are we going to do about that? And hey, what do you think about Congress? And who's that guy in the White House? We don't care." It would drive him fucking nuts. So the power is in our hand. Ignore him.
Couldn't hurt.
Couldn't hurt. Everything else is hurt. But no, he knows how to play the press. He knows how to get the publicity. He knows how to get people talking about him. I mean, we never had this problem with Obama. Obama would go for weeks and you never heard from him.
Not at first.
Huh?
Not at first.
Well, no.
You remember he did like a White House speech like every other day, and it was just like, shut up already.
Well, I mean, he had to learn the sweet spot, as it were, in the job. But I mean, he wasn't like asking for attention every day of the week. And this guy wakes up in the morning and says, "How can I get them talking about me?" And he'll write some insane tweet, and then everybody will be talking about the tweet, and MSNBC will go, "Oh, let's do this as a special." I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But so, anybody have any great plans for this weekend? Boy, what an exciting bunch of human beings! Yes, are you gonna go out for a run? Are you, Patrick?
I am going to try to figure out how to get around Adobe's claim that my software is not genuine.
What?
Yeah. My I have CS6. I haven't gone to the cloud yet because I haven't seen a reason for it. And I got pop-up saying that your software is not genuine, and they shut it off.
Wow.
They shut it off. I tried to use Photoshop earlier today for a project, and it popped up. It said it's going to shut down in 60 seconds, and it did. So,
I subscribe to them. I pay $54 a month for the whole package. But I mean, I use it. I use it for audio here and video and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, but they're really sticklers. And they're assholes. You paid for that, didn't you? You paid for the whole program. I would call them up and I would yell and scream and say, "How dare you tell me that this is illegal? I paid for it. I would pay." You paid what, $399, something like that, for the upgrade? Yeah. Oh well. Hey, listen, thank you all so much. Hey, and by the way, Rob, get your studio fixed. Get it going again, will you please?
I want to put a bomb in there.
Oh. Okay, well then everything's blown up. You can put it back together again. Anyway, thank you, Rob, for joining us tonight. First caller tonight. Of course, Charlie Wallace. Thank you so much. Jason, always nice when the lady lets you out. Jeff, thanks for talking to us. And of course, we always love having Patrick here. What I would love for all of you to do is to give a big wave goodbye, and then I'll wave back, because I can do that. There we go. That's what the waving looks like, and here I am. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Let me hang up on him so Jack Bishop, who comes next with The Intersection, will be able to use the lines, and you should call him. That would be a very nice thing of you to do. I would appreciate it. Okay, please, I'm begging. I'm very good at baking. Anyway, I'll see you again on Tuesday, right after the the exchange with Damian Chaplin. I'll be on at 10 o'clock. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.